Welcome to Portals Podcast. My name is Scott Love, and I'll be your host on this journey into the fascinating and inspirational. Today we explore the multifaceted power of letting go through the transformative act of forgiveness, including a crucial aspect often overlooked, self-forgiveness. You are listening to Portals Podcast, an extension of the Emergence Creative Space. Listeners are transported into the hearts and minds of some of the most inspired creators, producers, artists, and activists around. Portals is a platform and a spotlight on the people, organizations, businesses, and more who are the unsung heroes making a huge impact on the lives of others. My name is Scott Love, and I'll be your host on this epic journey into the powerful world of the fascinating and inspirational. I am an activist, an entrepreneur, and a visionary. Over the years, I've made some incredible relationships with a lot of epic people, many of which have helped me and guided me on my journey. I believe they'll help you as well. Here's what's up. We are a people in transition. The choices we make now will affect the lives of others for generations to come. Our choices will be our legacy. I want Portals Podcast to be a go-to resource for those who are searching for solutions and to help move us all forward. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get inspired. Many of us grapple with the weight of guilt, resentment, and anger. Historically, faith has provided a path to release. But in this modern world, where faith may not resonate with everyone, how do we find that same sense of renewal? Forgiveness is the answer. Forgiveness is more than a gift granted by a higher power. It is a chosen path for life, a way to unburden ourselves and others. Today we're going to take a deep dive into understanding the importance of forgiveness, even in today's fast-paced world. Thank you, and welcome back to the episode. First, what exactly is forgiveness? It's often misunderstood. Forgiveness is not condoning harmful actions or pretending they didn't happen. It's not about excusing the offender or the offender's behavior. As Desmond Tutu wisely said, forgiveness does not mean condoning what has been done. It means taking what happened and understanding that it cannot be changed, and trying to find a way to move forward. It's about releasing ourselves from the grips of negativity. Forgiveness is about choosing freedom from the pain that binds us to the past. It's about healing, not forgetting. Forgiveness is the conscious decision to let go of the resentment towards someone or something who has wronged you, regardless of whether or not they deserve it. It's not forgetting, excusing, or condoning the act. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're weak. Rather, it's an act of strength and courage. A common myth is that forgiving someone requires reconciliation. However, forgiveness is a personal journey that doesn't always involve resolving the relationship. Why it matters? Holding on to grudges can lead to emotional exhaustion and physical health issues. According to Dr. Everett Worthington, a leading forgiveness researcher, forgiveness improves mental health and reduces anxiety, depression, and anger. It can also restore a sense of control in situations where persons feel victimized, allowing them to reclaim their emotional well-being and move forward. Are you holding on to a pain from the past? Does the idea of forgiveness feel impossible? You're not alone. Today we're exploring the powerful concept called forgive and evolve. It's not about pretending things didn't happen, but about releasing ourselves from the grip of that negativity. We've all heard the saying, forgive and forget, but let's be honest, forgetting is tough. Some experiences are seared into our memory. Dwelling on negativity, however, only hurts us. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, now imagine the things that man went through, reminds us that even in the darkest times, we can find meaning. Imagine a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each one of these stones represent a hurt that you carry. Whether you know it or not, we put more and more of these stones into our backpack, and we never take them out. These stones may come from something our parents said to us when we were little kids, or something our bosses or coworkers said in passing. They can come from things that were said in the heat of the moment with someone close to us. The point is, just about every day our backpacks are growing heavier and heavier. Wouldn't you rather set that backpack down and walk a little lighter? Finding forgiveness is unloading those stones one by one. It's a journey of healing, not erasing the past. Okay, all this sounds great, right? But where do we start? Want to try something really unique? Let's explore the Japanese practice of Naikan. This structured introspection fosters a sense of gratitude for others' contributions and recognitions of one's impact on their lives and understanding of personal responsibility. Naikan encourages a shift from focusing on grievances to appreciating the interdependent nature of human relationships. Practicing Naikan often leads to profound emotional insights and personal growth. It provides a framework for cultivating empathy, improving relationships, and finding peace with past experiences. The practice can be done informally in daily life or as part of a guided retreat, offering a quiet space for deep reflection. Naikan helps individuals transcend blame and resentment, nurturing a balanced perspective that promotes forgiveness, self-awareness, and inner harmony. Again, it involves asking yourself three powerful questions. What did I receive from this person? What did I give this person? And what troubles did I cause them? By reflecting on these questions, you might be surprised by the gratitude and understanding that emerges. So let's just take a second to try that. Let's think of somebody that has harmed us. And let's ask ourselves these questions. What did I receive from this person, whether that's good or bad? What did I give to this person? And what troubles did I cause them? Here's a quote that I really like. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. It doesn't make you weak. It sets you free. That's by psychologist Dr. Laurel Markham. Dr. Markham shares real-life examples of clients who found peace through forgiveness, explaining how the process can vary from person to person, but always leads to inner strength and healing. Reflect on a moment when you chose to forgive. What did you gain from that experience, and how did that impact your emotional state? The science of forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't just feel good, it's good for your health too. Let's explore the science behind this. Scientists are now confirming what spiritual traditions have long understood. Forgiveness has powerful effects on our minds and body. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology demonstrated that forgiveness interventions significantly reduce depression, anxiety, and anger. This isn't just a theory, it's backed by research. Studies by Dr. Redford Williams at Duke University have shown a link between hostility and the increase of heart disease. As Hannah More wisely puts it, forgiveness is the economy of the heart. Forgiveness saves the expense of anger, the cost of hatred, and the waste of spirits. Forgiveness isn't just good for the soul, it's good for your physical health. Now here's how that works. It's the psychological benefit. Studies show that forgiveness reduces cortisol levels, which is the body's primary stress hormone. Research from the Mayo Clinic has also linked forgiveness with stronger immune function and better sleep. Chronic resentment, on the other hand, can increase the risk of diseases related to stress, such as hypertension and heart disease. So that old saying about how anger and resentment causes cancer, well, it seems there may be some truth to that. Forgiveness is not just a moral and spiritual idea, it's a tool for mental health. By practicing forgiveness, we not only free ourselves emotionally, but also improve our cardiovascular health. Studies even show a connection between better immune function, lower blood pressure, and improved sleep patterns. When we forgive, our bodies respond positively. Letting go of resentment isn't just good for your soul, it's good medicine for your body. Like we covered, forgiveness isn't about condoning or forgetting. It's about releasing the grip of negative emotions that tether us to pain. Choosing forgiveness is an act of courage and self-empowerment. Forgiveness has deep roots in many of the world's spiritual traditions. This can be seen in the oral traditions and the written words of many of the world's belief systems. There are countless examples, but I only have enough time to touch on a few. So I'm going to give you one from three of the world's most practiced: Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. Although I have heard that Buddhism isn't really a religion, but the point remains. It's the cornerstone of Christianity. Here's a verse from the Bible. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as Christ God forgave you. Here, divine forgiveness serves as a model for how we might forgive others. In Islam, a prominent quote about forgiveness is from the Quran. Let evil be rewarded with evil, but whoever forgives and seeks reconciliation, their reward is with Allah. This verse emphasizes the virtue of forgiveness and how Allah will reward those who choose forgiving others, even when wronged. From a Buddhist perspective, forgiveness is essential to breaking free from the cycle of suffering. The Dalai Lama puts it this way: forgiveness is not always easy. At times, it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive the one who inflicted it, yet there is no peace without forgiveness. These teachings, whether rooted in scripture or philosophy, remind us that forgiveness is a universal principle, a tool to transcend pain and find peace. And here's a little bit more on forgiveness as being important and having a culturally significant role in society. South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission emphasized restorative justice, where victims and predators came together to acknowledge the harm and seek healing. This process has inspired similar initiatives worldwide. And as Mahatma Gandhi reminds us, the weak cannot forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Everything we have touched upon up to this point has been about forgiving others. We can take a look at their upbringing and see how the way they were raised may influence their values. Or we can see where maybe addiction or mental health issues may have played a role in how they acted. For me, forgiveness comes down to one word: insane. Yeah, you heard that right. Insane. It may not mean what you think it means. To get to what it really means, we need to take a closer look at the word itself. Once we do that, it's like a whole new reality opens up. The root of the word is sanus, which is Latin and translates to whole, as in complete, together, one. And then we took a look at the other word in it, which is in, and that translates into no or not. So, put the two together, you can see that insane literally means not whole. Now, when we think of the often insane things that people have done to us in the past, when we think of them as not being whole, that something is missing, then we can have a little bit more empathy for them. Maybe we ask ourselves, what is missing from this person? And the answer that comes to mind are usually reflections in their actions against us. Are they cruel? Then most likely they lacked love and empathy when they were growing up. Are they manipulative? Well, then they most likely grew up in a situation or were exposed to a situation where there wasn't a lot of trust. The list of things people can be missing is as long as there are human experiences to have. And while we may not know what it is that took that chunk out of their wholeness, we know that they are not whole now. For me, this makes it a lot easier to forgive them. But what if the other person is not the one who needs to be forgiven? What if the main antagonist is ourselves? The crucial role of self-forgiveness. Carrying on from earlier with that bit about people not being whole, why is it so hard to extend that same mindset to ourselves? I mean, we all make mistakes, right? We know this. But there is something inside of ourselves that believes somehow we should be above the fray, that we should be better than, or maybe that we should know better. Who knows the deeper reasons we say and do the things that we do? That would require deeper work in ourselves. Something along the lines of what we covered in the episode A Crash Course in Emotional Intelligence and the Unstuck Yourself series, which can both be found on the Portals Podcast channel. Why is forgiving ourselves harder than forgiving others? Well, let's take a closer look into this and see what we find. Often, we replay the past mistakes burdened by guilt and shame. We know our darkest secrets, and we know the thoughts and the things that go on in our own minds. So in some ways, we feel that we are somehow more guilty than our transgressors. The thing is, everybody thinks crazy shit. It's natural. And our brains are free to go all over the place, and they do. And it's also part of what helped us survive as a species. Our brains are wired to think the worst possible things so that we can be prepared for it whenever it comes. In today's world, the media we consume plants all kinds of things into our minds. On a side note here, could this be why they call television and radio shows programs? And why the scheduling of this media is called programming? Just something to think about. At any rate, back to self-forgiveness. Take it easy on yourself. You didn't know what you didn't know, and now that you know it, you don't have to do it again. Let's take another look at that insane word and break it down, and then ask ourselves, how was I not whole during that time? What was I missing? How do I become someone who doesn't do that again? Simply asking ourselves these questions does wonders. We immediately know in our hearts that we are not the same people who made those choices, and that we are working towards being a better person. We can feel good about that, and we can use that good feeling as a beginning for forgiving ourselves. But, as Publius Syrus wisely said, how unhappy is he who cannot forgive himself? Now, this guy needed to know a little bit about forgiveness because he was a slave from Syria who was taken to Italy, and after some time, he was freed and educated by his master. He then went on to write some amazing works and is noted as one of the primary thinkers of the era. Research by Kristen Neff on self-compassion shows that guilt and shame are often blocks to self-forgiveness. These feelings are rooted in our inner critic and can amplify mistakes and create a cycle of self-blame. People often hold themselves to a higher standard than others, making self-forgiveness feel like admitting failure rather than embracing growth. Dr. Neff's work on self-compassion offers a powerful antidote. Self-forgiveness, she emphasizes, involves recognizing our shared humanity, accepting our imperfection, and offering ourselves kindness and understanding. It's not about excusing our actions, but acknowledging our humanity. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It's about growth, letting go, and moving forward with a lighter heart. Take the first steps today. You deserve to evolve beyond your heart. But how do we practice self-forgiveness? Self-forgiveness starts in our minds and then spreads into our hearts. We begin by saying to ourselves that we want to be forgiven. Without a desire, nothing engages. Sometimes the simple act of asking opens up something inside of ourselves and makes room for what's next, which is acceptance. It is said that acceptance is the key to serenity. What does this mean to you?
Oh, no, not fine. Serenity now.
Now, there are several strategies that you can use to improve your self-forgiveness, such as journaling can help identify and confront negative self-talk. Self-compassion meditations encourage individuals to treat themselves with the same kindness that they would a friend. Cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT techniques, can help reframe negative beliefs and foster a more forgiving mindset. This is definitely worth looking into, and it's a pretty simple practice, but you do have to practice it. It works. Remember, self-forgiveness isn't about excusing harmful actions. It's about acknowledging our mistakes, learning from them, and letting go of the self-imposed weight of judgment. Only by forgiving ourselves can we move forward. Forgiving yourself not because you are perfect, but because you are human. Self-forgiveness is not about erasing mistakes, but embracing the lessons they bring. Okay, so let's switch back to forgiving others for a minute. Are you ready to let go of that grudge? Now, here are some tools to help you in your path of forgiveness. If you're ready to let go of that grudge, well, then these tools can help you. Journaling. We already mentioned journaling, but here's an exercise for you. Write a letter to the person you're forgiving, even if it's yourself, and even if you never send it. Describe the hurt that you feel. Describe your current feelings, and then let them know about your decision of letting go. This process allows you to externalize emotions and gain clarity. We talked about meditation. Guided forgiveness practices reduce anger and increase empathy. For example, loving kindness meditation involves wishing the very best for everyone involved, even those who have hurt you. Something you can do is also identifying your feelings. Practice empathy by considering the other person's perspective. and set boundaries to protect yourself from future harm. These steps ensure that forgiveness is both a healing and empowering process. Empathy is the bridge that connects pain to understanding. So, how do we practice forgiveness, including self-forgiveness? Well, forgiveness says you are giving up all hope for a better past. This mindset applies to forgiving others and accepting our own actions. Robert Enrich's process model of forgiveness offers a roadmap. First, acknowledge the pain. Whether it's forgiving someone else or yourself, it starts with recognizing the hurt. Second, make the decision to forgive. This doesn't mean condoning the actions, it means choosing peace over anger. And third, work through self-emotional pain, a step that involves journaling, therapy, meditation, and finally arrive at the outcome of freedom and renewed purpose. When it comes to self-forgiveness, the steps are similar. Begin by practicing self-compassion. Recognize your shared humanity and acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes, focusing on growth and the lessons learned rather than dwelling on the mistakes. And finally, if you, like me, enjoy things laid out step by step, here's an amazing step-by-step process that can be a guide for you on your journey to forgiveness. There are many fantastic resources for forgiveness online. I found this one. It's from Mary Hayes Greco, and it's called The 8-Step Process for Forgiveness. I'll put a link with more information on this in the description and at the end of the video. Step 1. Use your will. Declare your intention through the power of your will to begin the process of forgiveness. Step 2. Express your emotional pain. You are given complete freedom to express your honest emotions without judgments or fear. Step 3. Release expectations from your mind. Identify and let go of the expectations you had surrounding the person or situation that you are currently forgiving. Step 4. Restore your boundaries. Firmly separate yourself from the harmful actions and attitudes of the other persons in the situation. Step 5. Open up to getting your needs met in a different way. Expectations have been released, expectations have been let go, and you no longer demand anything from the person or situation that you are forgiving. Step 6. Receive healing energy from spirit. Reach out to a higher power and bring in unconditional love and light to your being. 7. Release unconditional love to the other person or situation, and release unconditional love that is freely given to the person or situation you are forgiving. Step 8. See the good in the person or the situation. Now that you are free from the past pain and grievances, recognize that good can be taken from this person or situation. Remember, forgiveness is personal. Take it at your own pace. Due to time constraints, I'm just introducing some concepts and ideas, so please dig deeper. Okay, so now let's take a look at the roles of boundaries in forgiveness. Boundaries versus excusing behavior. Can you forgive and say enough is enough? Absolutely. It's important to not confuse forgiveness with reconciliation. We can forgive someone and not want to ever engage with them again. Forgiveness does not mean wiping the slate clean. It only means that we are no longer letting anything about a person, place, or thing keep us locked up in emotional knots. Setting up boundaries is essential to preventing future harm and maintaining emotional health. Boundaries can include limiting contact, redefining the relationship, or cutting ties altogether. Therapist Susan Johnson shares, healthy boundaries prevent future hurt while honoring our emotional growth. They allow you to forgive without enabling toxic behavior. On a personal level, several times in my life I have sworn off somebody for very valid reasons, and after some time and forgiveness work on my end, I eventually will let them back into my bubble. And then, you guessed it, I find myself in a whole new pattern of anger and resentment, which sucks. So, it has taken a while, but I finally found that forgiving a toxic friend while choosing not to continue the relationship shows that forgiveness and self-protection can coexist. It's a way of saying, I release this pain, and I'm going to continue to protect myself moving forward. And it's okay. In fact, it's what should be done sometimes. And then there are these things called amends, or little acts that fill the holes that some situations create. Maybe it's a financial debt or something was broken. There are times when the actual thing needs to be replaced before reconciliation is possible. Sometimes the reconciliation is not possible at all. But in order to forgive ourselves, we need to make these amends. All situations are different. Just as all people are unique and come with their own quirks and mannerisms, everything really is relative, scaled, and we have different needs. Forgiveness is no different. Okay, now what do we do when forgiveness feels impossible? There are times when forgiveness feels like an unreachable goal, and that's okay. Maybe we feel that the thing that was done was too great of a violation for forgiveness to exist. This is understandable and acceptable, and it's true. And it will remain true until it isn't. Time does an interesting thing to our hearts and our minds. Our values tend to change. Understanding comes, or we know things that we didn't know before. So as long as we never say never, the door to forgiveness remains open, even if ever so slightly. Remember, forgiveness is not a one-time action, but an ongoing journey. Let's go back to that Lewis B. Smedes quote. To forgive is to set a prisoner free, and then discovering that the prisoner was you. Let's let ourselves free by forgiving others, and perhaps most importantly, forgiving ourselves. My name is Scott Love, and this is Portal Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode on this very important and life-changing subject of forgiveness. Until next time, take care and keep exploring the portals to your best life. Let's get inspired. Hi there, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Portals Podcast. If you've enjoyed this content, I have a quick favor to ask. Please just take a minute to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you feel it, hit that notification bell because it'll let you know whenever a new episode's coming out. It's such a small action, but it has a huge impact. When you engage with the channel, the platform takes notice and then shares the content with more people who might need that spark of inspiration in their lives. Here's a dream. I want to create content that lights people up, stories about incredible change makers, and fresh ideas that are shaping the world. But right now, Portals Podcast is a one-man operation, and I'm that one man. From researching to scripting to editing and managing socials, it's a labor of love that takes a lot of time and energy. That's why your support matters. I'd like to invite you to come check out our Patreon page. By becoming a paid subscriber on Patreon, for as little as $5 a month, you can help this channel grow into something special. A hub for creators, change makers, and anyone seeking to live a more purposeful and mindful life. Plus, you'll be getting access to exclusives, uncut videos, early announcements, and so much more. Together, we can build something extraordinary, and I need your help to make this dream a reality. Please join me at patreon.com/ECS_portals, and let's keep creating magic one episode at a time. Thank you so much for being here, and now back to the episode.